settling in, I will go ahead and get started and kick us off. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Assell, Executive Director of the Women's Recovery Center. At the Women's Recovery Center, we provide gender-specific intensive outpatient programming for substance use disorder for women and their families. We've been around for 35 years and are very proud of that and have delivered excellent service for that amount of time. Today, we are so proud to celebrate one of our longest stories of recovery with Cheryl Rush. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Cheryl and Stacy Reed. Stacy is going to deliver a special message as her first message as board president of the Women's Recovery Center and formally introduce Cheryl.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. So I'm a little nervous today. I haven't been in public in over a year. So I would like to open this celebration with the Serenity Prayer. Would you all please join me? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Welcome to our celebration of the Women's Recovery Center's own Cheryl and her 20 years of sobriety. I'm going to be reading from this, so if nobody judge, please. I am Stacy Reed, your board president, and I am in a weekly book club. Yesterday, I was reading chapter 5 in Discovering Choices, and ironically, the title of this chapter is Recognizing That a Better Way is Possible. 20 years ago, Cheryl walked through these doors and recognized that a better way was possible. To paraphrase the chapter a little bit, the recognition that we have choices opens the door to hope. Hope, despite the effects of addiction, allows us to see a range of other possibilities. We broaden our vision and find ways to fill our moments with comfort, joy, and serenity, leaving behind fears that once seemed insurmountable. And that reminds me of a line from AA's Big Book, that God just wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. We are a working board, and I'm honored and grateful to be part of such a nurturing team. The accomplishments of our past leadership are outstanding and has set the stage for great things to come. A new foundation has been laid, literally, you're standing on it. It's strong, it's resilient, and it will weather whatever is tossed upon it. This foundation is also a springboard of bigger and better things to come. We are now able to serve more women, now able to comfort their children, and now able to provide additional services that were once just a dream. As an organization, we are constantly striving to be better and to do the next right thing. Two major barriers for women entertaining recovery are transportation and childcare. We currently provide bus passes and we have on-site childcare. But what if we had our own Women's Recovery Center van? What if we had sober living for women and their children? The possibilities are now endless. Our heads are lifted, our sights are on the future, and as our vision statement says, we are committed to providing opportunities for women, their families, to take greater control over their lives, physically, emotionally, and economically. Our mission states that we provide comprehensive addiction treatment, prevention, and education programs that are client-centered, family-based, and recovery-focused. Nestled here in the Stockyard neighborhood of Cleveland, we embrace the underserved. We see the overlooked. Inside our doors, a safe, non-judgmental haven. Tools are provided, life skills are learned, parenting is improved, independence is gained, and self-sufficiency is realized. The Women's Recovery Center is treating addiction and liberating lives. Recovery is a far-reaching process. Just like a pebble dropped in a pond, the ripple begins its journey from the place where the pebble hit the water. Its circle ever widening, expanding, and deepening. I'm excited and looking forward to hearing Cheryl's experience, strength, and hope. Please give a loud round of applause and welcome Cheryl back to the Women's Recovery Center.
Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm in awe, and when I pulled into the parking lot this morning, it really hit me that 20 years ago, my today life began in this very building. When by the time I ended up here at the Women's Center, I have been in and out of treatment, residential, outpatient, residential, outpatient, residential. I was beat up and did not know it. I was hurting and did not know it. And there were so many things going on when I got here. By the time I got here, I don't even remember how I found the Women's Center, but I do know that God of my understanding played a major part in it. And before I begin my story, I need to thank the God of my understanding first for the path that he wrote for me. I need to thank the God of my understanding for the many people that he strategically placed and handpicked to put on my path to walk me through this process. Because before I got here, I was not convinced that I had a problem. Before I got here, I had open cases with Cuyahoga County Children and Family Services. My children had been taken. When I ended up here, and I also need to thank my sponsor who's walked me through here. I've had the same sponsor for all 20 years. And I know that the God of my understanding put her in my path. Because when I ended up here, I was facing, like I said, I had been in and out of rehab. I was not convinced I had a problem. It was their problem. They was mad at me. I had social workers called on me, and my concern was who called instead of why did they call. I sat back, I put social workers out of my home because I felt they were out of line. How dare you come in my house and tell me what to do with my kids? How dare you come in my house and judge me based on a call that you got and you've never met me? When I got here, and again, it's still, I tried to remember how, but I don't know how. And I know it's probably meant for me not to know because God was working. I also need to thank, and this is a spiritual program, not religious, but I have found God in this process. One woman was very important to me in my journey, and she's no longer with me, her or her husband. They were my pastors, Sarah P. and Joe Hill. God placed this woman in my path because when I got here, prior to me even coming through the door, I made a phone call to this agency, and I need to share with you. There was a lady named Millie that answered the phone. And I can hear the sternness in Millie's voice. And she wasn't playing. And it scared me because I'm asking, okay, I found this agency. I need to know what I need to do to get in here. She started asking me these questions. But her tone was like real to the point. And I'm thinking, oh my God, who have I called? and so when Millie began to explain to me the process for getting in here, I couldn't just come in here off the street in here. I had to have 3 days in a row because I could get a day here, a day there, but it was hard to get them in a row. So I had been told that I had to get 3 days in a row without using drugs, without using anything. So I'm thinking, oh, that's a piece of cake, I could do this. And I had to do this, and intake was on Tuesdays. So on Tuesday, I was supposed to get to 3 days. And then that Tuesday, I had to call to come in. Well, this is when I finally realized I did have a problem, because that was the hardest thing for me to do. I could not get those 3 days in a row together to come here. And every Tuesday came, I can't call. I can't get in here because I didn't use it yet. One substance or another. And so I said, I'm determined. And then I would have to call and hear Millie's voice. And Millie would ask me some questions. And then I'm thinking, why is this lady so hard? Why is she so mean? And so about a month, it took me a month to get 3 days together. And I'm sitting up here this whole time, and this is when I started to see, you may have a problem. You can't get 3 days together. Really? By now my conscience is kicking in, kind of got my kids, and I have my children now, and I'm facing permanent custody. But each time they took my children, I declared they weren't going to keep my babies. I didn't have these kids to have somebody else raise them. And in this process of getting the 3 days together, so many things started happening. I started realizing that the people in my circle were not people that I should have been with. I started realizing, even in the midst of getting high, trying to get these 3 days together, I now know to be moments of clarity. Whereas even when you're getting high, reality really sits in and you can't block it out. And I'm looking around at these people in my circle like, we don't have nothing in common. And then I started seeing, it's cold in this abandoned building. I got heat at home, why am I here? So these things began to happen while I'm trying to get these 3 days together. I started seeing all kind of things. I started saying, well, maybe if I don't go over here, I can hold on a little bit of money. Or maybe if I can go over there, I won't use as much. Or how about just not using? But I'm hurting. And if they hadn't done this, if he hadn't pissed me off, I wouldn't be getting high. If he hadn't hit me, and all these things were going on during this time, I'm trying to get these 3 days. And then I'm still going through making the phone calls here, Millie. So imagine I'm trying to justify to Millie why I got high, and Millie said, it doesn't matter. You still need to get those 3 days together. And I started to hear in her voice some things. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to prove her wrong. I worked real hard. But then all of a sudden, as I proceeded to get these 3 days together, yesterday, the day of surrender, 20 years ago, this is what it looked like. Saturday, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to start this month off right. I ain't going to get high. So Saturday, everything that I had, the alcohol, the drugs, I decided I'm not going to be getting high. I'm going to get them 3 days together, and I'm going to get my kids back. I'm going to talk to Millie. Millie going to tell me I can come in here. So when I got here, I was thoroughly convinced that my using was causing some problems that I can avoid. My children, and then in the midst of that, it hit me, hold on, my children have been removed from their home. They hadn't done anything wrong. Why didn't they just tell me to leave? But that's not how it happened. My children ended up in foster care, not because of neighbors, not because of the dope man, but because of me, the person that gave birth to them. Now, I'm a mother of 8 children. My oldest just turned 40 years old. My baby is 15. In the midst of everything, when I finally got here, I'm so baffled by how in the world did I not see this? Then I got the social workers going to the courts, petitioning the courts to take my kids permanently because they done had them before. The patterns of behavior are saying that this lady ain't gonna never get it together. We tired of seeing her down here. We done had this many open cases. Some was unsubstantiated, some was substantiated. It didn't matter. They just got tired of seeing my name. When I got here and I finally started coming here, I went through the process. I'm sitting up in groups. I need to tell y'all, before I got here, I sat up in groups at the other centers, comparing myself to not doing, oh, I didn't do that. I ain't that bad. Oh, if I get that bad, honey, listen, I need some help. I need to tell y'all that I end up doing a lot of those things I said I wasn't going to do. I end up being that mom. By the time I got here, I was using against my will. It became a pattern of life for me. I didn't want to get high, but it was happening. I told myself I wasn't going to get high because I started seeing some glimpses. And when I got here and started, I'm telling you, when I walked through the doors, there was something about the atmosphere here. I felt welcome. And I think you mentioned the word nurturing. That's what it was. Because one, it was a bunch of women, and I didn't hang around a bunch of women. I was a tomboy. I was a tomboy. We built go-karts. If y'all watch the Little Rascals, I was a tomboy. Hanging out with the fellas. I fit in real good with the fellas. And there was a bunch of women, so I'm thinking, uh-oh, there's a bunch of ladies in here. I'm thinking I'm going to be judged and all this. But I tell you, when I came in here and did the treatment and did the meetings, because when I got here, I already knew that I had to have a sponsor. I had got a sponsor's pass, but they were its name only. Treatment said I had to have it. Okay, would you be my sponsor? I ain't never called a woman. She ain't never called me, so I was good. You got a sponsor? Yeah. And I'm lying about, oh, we was at a meeting last night. I haven't seen this person. So I did the name only sponsor. And I did the meetings, but then I was in another fellowship and I figured, okay, so this is the AA. Maybe I can still smoke a little bit and just don't drink. That's what my thinking was. Because I'm thinking they was talking about if you're anything other than an alcoholic, please, and this is not to put that fellowship down at all. Please, that's not what I'm doing. This is my mindset. Because there was a bunch of people. My first sponsor was in AA. And there's a story behind that. And I'm thinking, okay, so I can't drink. I can do the other stuff. And that's what I did. Then I played the little dodge game, trying to figure out, calculate when I can use, when I can't use, just in case they drop my urine. I played all them games. I burned out on that stuff. Because the simplest thing was just don't get high. Real simple, but that's not what my mindset was. I'm still trying to figure out who called them people on me. And I was serious, and I was going to find out who did. And I missed a lot of stuff in those treatment programs because my focus was not in the room. My body was there, but my mind wasn't. I'm trying to figure out what my dude doing. I'm trying to figure out what my husband doing. All of this stuff. I came in those buildings and in those places not allowing the process. And see, that's another thing. I looked at the message I sent to the outside, going in the treatment center, coming back out doing the same doggone thing, and all the places don't work. That don't work. She went already. She gonna keep on. I did a disservice to treatment in the beginning because I kept going back and forth. Moving forward, when I got here and I had surrendered and I did the treatment, I already knew that I had to have a sponsor, but now we got serious. Because see, now my kids on the line. Not that they went on the line before, my mind wasn't there. My children were on the line for real, for real. They were talking about permanent custody. That shook me to the core of my being because I realized I am tearing up my own family. I am hurting my children. My drug use is affecting not just me, because my mindset was also, I ain't hurt nobody but me. That was the biggest lie I ever sold myself. Because I know and I learned that everything I do affects everybody around me. Everybody around me. They were starting to alter their mood based on how I came in the house. Is she cool today? Is she gonna raise sand today? Is she gonna put us out the house while she gonna get high? Is she gonna say she going to the store, don't come back 2-3 days? Moving forward, during this whole process here, and I felt so safe. It was something about the atmosphere. It was nurturing. The people were kind to me. I felt included. I felt a part of, and that's all I ever wanted to do was be a part of something and feel like I fit, because I went through life trying to fit in somewhere. Because I need to tell you, I don't use the word victim because I know my disease would jump on that and dance with it and try and, yeah. I don't claim victim status today. At one time I did, I used that as a reason and an excuse to go get some dope so I can get high so they felt sorry for me and I didn't have to spend my money. I'm an overcomer of domestic violence. I was beaten by one of my husbands who's no longer with us. I mean, and I had never been exposed to violence of that magnitude. All the violence I saw was on television. I had never experienced or grew up in the circle, my family. We didn't see stuff like that. I never saw my dad hit my mom. We knew they had disagreements, but they would go in their room and talk. And when I say talk, they talk, because we would go in the room, go to the door trying to hear what was going on, putting our ear to the door. We heard them saying something, but we never saw that. So I knew when that guy hit me, that wasn't supposed to be happening. But I stayed because he convinced me he didn't mean it. He was sorry. It ain't gonna happen no more. He loved me. And the best sex took place that I thought. So, and then it repeated itself again. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you said you weren't gonna do this. So now I'm looking at this marriage. I'm in this unfamiliar place and some decisions had to be made because I know I didn't like being hit. I knew that wasn't supposed to happen, but now I got some kids. One of them was his, and he had already threatened and promised that if he couldn't have me, wasn't nobody else gonna have me. Got out of that situation, had some support. I got out of that situation, left him, divorced, had some more kids. I experienced some domestic violence in there as well, briefly, because you see now I'm developing a voice. Now I'm saying, okay, hold on, you're not gonna do this. I told y'all I was a tomboy. See, that stirred up in me, like, come on, you're not gonna put your hands on me. That happened again. With that being said, after we had the children, here comes social services. I need to share with you, I was introduced to my first 12-step program in 1995. I did not get clean till 2001. So in the midst of that, treatment, rehab, I got some mental health counseling to address a lot of issues. I've overcome domestic violence. I've overcome incest. I've overcome sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. I've overcome verbal abuse and emotional neglect and abuse through outside help. So there is nothing wrong with going the extra mile to take care of yourself. Because I do know today that those things, the shame and guilt of going through that stuff and trying to tell somebody what happened and I'm being judged, which is what shut me down. And I drove into the drugs a little bit harder because nobody understood. And then I went into relationships, wondering how did I get there? But when I got here, and I keep going back to when I got here in 2001, I went through the treatment. I knew I had to get the sponsor, but now it's real serious because again, like I said, my kids were on the line. Okay, I didn't want to get half, but I was still getting half when I said I wasn't. They helped me. Because when I got those 3 days together, it's like, whoa, I finally got 3 days? Shoot, you couldn't tell me nothing. I didn't want to go back because I had never had 3 days unless I was asleep or recovering from the nights and the weekends before. That didn't happen. So when I got here and I got the sponsor, but before I got my sponsor, they gave me a timeline. You need to have a sponsor by this time. So I had a counselor, and I met with my counselor because see, now I got to trust somebody. And that was something I didn't do because the people I trust the most screwed me over, abused me, abandoned me, used me. And there was people that was near and dear supposed to be in a position to protect me. So now it's just me. And I'm in this marriage. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I had my counselor, and I said, listen, I don't know. And I was shaking like a crap game. And I've learned that when you're scared, if you're trying to help yourself, get through, do it anyway. I told my counselor, I said, can I have a little bit more time? And she says, well, you know, and we had that conversation. I said, because see, this is why. This person got to be responsible for me, and I got to be able to trust them. Because I got some stuff, I done some stuff that I swore I was going to take to my grave. I had planned my funeral prior to getting here because I didn't know no other way. I'm thinking, okay, I told my family, I said, when I die, I want to be buried with a brand new crack pipe, some brand new chore, I want a bottle, and I want some good dope. Because that's how I thought I was supposed to leave here. I thought I was supposed to live because I tried to quit and couldn't. So I figured it was meant for me to die, doing what I was doing. But when I got here, I'm telling you, this place really changed my life. So my counselor gave me an extra week. And I was already looking because there's a formula to this thing. It's like a recipe. If you get a box, a cake mix, and you see that big pretty cake on the front and you want them same results, you turn it over. Look at the ingredients. There's a formula to getting that cake. If it say 3 eggs, you can't put one in there thinking you're going to get the same results. If it says oil, you can't put water in there. So you have to follow the recipe. You don't turn the oven on when you put the stuff in there. It says preheat. That means before. So the thing with that is, there's a recipe to this, and I had got bits and pieces, even when I was struggling to stay clean, of what needed to be done. But I'm looking at people. I'm looking at them going to the coffee pot. I'm seeing people laughing. I'm seeing people in the parking lot, and somebody was had some dope somewhere. Because there was too many people gathering together, and they wasn't doing nothing in sight. They doing it behind the scenes. So when I got this sponsor, I'm gonna tell you what happened. I wasn't brought up in the church. I didn't have a God when I got here. But they said higher power. So that's what I ran with. I said, higher power, I need some help. I need to find me a sponsor because I had done some low down dirty stuff that I said, I'm taking to my grave. Ain't nobody gonna know about this. But when I heard you have to share your secrets, you gotta tell on yourself and thinking, oh brother. And it says, then the lady, Evangelist Hill, told me, she said, Sister Cheryl, you got to tell them yourself even when it hurt. So I had got these nuggets, and so I got this lady, everywhere I went, she was there. But she was active. She was a chairperson here. She was a treasurer over there. She was the secretary over here. And I'm like, what is it with this? And for some reason, it's like everywhere I saw her, there was this light that was around her. And I started watching this lady. And so I was so beat up and told not to speak and speak when I'm spoken to. I wrote her a note. She was on the panel. So when they did the little 5-minute break, I slid the little note in her book because I knew she was going to go in that book because everywhere she went, she had her basic text. She had her It Works How and Why. She had all of that with her. I slid that note over there. So I went and set my seat and I sat behind somebody because I'm so used to being rejected, so used to being lied to, that I didn't expect her to say yes. So I went in here, she came back, and I'm looking from behind this person, and she opened it up and she looked, and I saw the expression on her face. I'm like, uh-oh. So she looked up as if she was looking around. I'm trying to hide. So she went ahead and she shared. And while she was sharing, she said, I'll see you after the meeting. I'm like, oh my God. She gonna tell me no. And I'm in my seat, like, oh my God, anticipating rejection. After the end of that meeting, she came over to me and introduced herself and gave me a pamphlet on sponsorship. Told me to read it, call her. I did. And the rest is history. And I can remember early on in our relationship, it was snowing real bad. She says, I need you to go to 3 meetings. I need you to call me every day. I'm thinking, okay, I can do that. I missed a couple of days, but it was brand new, so she gave me that. But I remember calling her. She said, I was on the Saturday. Did you go to your meetings? I said, well, no, it was snowing outside. She said, what? I said, well, it was snowing outside. That's why I ain't go. She said, so you didn't get half when it was snowing?
Right.
I said, yeah. She said, then how did you get there? I said, I sometimes I walk, sometimes she said, well, okay, so you still need to go to meetings when it's snowing. So every excuse that I thought I had for not doing my part, both in treatment and outside, she shot it down. So with that being said, when I got done here, now when it came to the end, I'm scared to death. Because see, by now I don't trust me. Because there were times when I left home headed to a meeting, got sidetracked and ended up in the dope house. With that being said, when I got done here, I remember saying, I don't know what to do. Because I could not be alone. My children were in school. I had told my job I needed some time off, because see, I didn't want them to know I had this problem. They probably knew anyway. So they gave me the time, and I was going from home to here. And I lived on 42nd and Denison at the time, so it was a straight shot down this hill. It was 2 cars in my driveway. I wasn't driving then, because I knew them little bugaboos was waiting. Time that engine started, hey, you know ain't nobody looking. You know ain't nobody gonna tell. You know it's just by itself. And I'm like, oh my God, this stuff is talking to me. And I had to tell. Listen, on my way home, this is what happened. Oh, Jesus. So when I shared with the center that I was afraid, and I had this idle time, they allowed me to volunteer. Me? These people won't let me volunteer. After everything I done shared with me, I was terrified and I was serious, because I had been in places and been through so much in this process, I can't fit it all in this space. But I'm telling you, when they suggested volunteer, it sounded like a great idea, but I'm thinking, are y'all sure? And so I worked with Lisa, and I'm telling you, I became a part of this facility. So when I tell you that my life was saved here, I'm not playing. Because the time I was here, I had documented the time I started, the time. This was teaching me to be responsible. I was showing up on time here when I wasn't showing up on time at work. I was showing up on time here in group when I didn't even go where I'm supposed to go half the time. This place. And then I can remember the summer was coming. I didn't have any money, but like I said, I was married. But I wasn't trusted with money. Because, oh no, you said that before. I remember Mary Jane gave me some tickets to take my kids to swings and things. I ain't never been to swings and things. I ain't know nothing about swings and things. But I'm telling you, when I got the ticket and I told my kids that we wasn't going, by then, my words meant nothing. Because many days I would leave telling them I'm going to the store. And then they see me for 3-4 days later. So my words meant nothing to my kids. But when we went to swings and things, and I got a chance, I said, well, I told him how I got the ticket. And I told him, I said, we going. And we actually went. My baby's just watching them. That's the stuff I started feeling. Like, oh my goodness, this feels good. And I'm seeing my kids. Because I promised the county wasn't going to. And that stuff is what began my beginning. Because I had broken so many promises. I hated sales papers. Sunday papers, I hated them. Because the Sunday papers would come and remind me of what I didn't do or could have done with the paycheck I got that Friday. Then I done made my kids, oh, we're going to go buy this, we're going to go buy that. Kids don't forget. And then the time come out and came back off a how many day bench. And they said, well, ain't we going to stuff? And I'm like, I ain't got the money. I couldn't tell them that. So then I had to go and beg for their daddy. Could we go take the kids? I thought you said you was going, and he already knew what was going on. But he rubbed it in. And I said, okay, I need to get me together. So from here, I volunteered as long as I could, then I had to go back to work. Then when I went back to work, I was determined. I was determined to be fully self-supporting because I was not conditioned to go through what I was going through just to take care of my babies. Because what dawned on me is with or without a man, those still my kids. Whether they go biological or not. They didn't ask to be here. They didn't ask to be drugged back and forth in and out of foster care. See, now my kids got them kind of memories. But I'm here to tell you the recipe today. Get a sponsor. First of all, don't use no matter what. It's a choice. Today, you've been given back your choices. I need you to know that you are special. You have value. You are in a position right here, right now, to turn your entire life around. You, if you got a social worker, do what you need to do, get that door shut, and then keep on moving. If you've been in treatment more than once, okay, and I was too. It's a decision. What now? Now what? We go through so much to get one more. So much. The options are plenty, and none of them good. We're in a position of power, ladies. We're in a position to make a decision today, even if you ain't sure, even if you're not convinced. Try this formula while you're going through this. Get a sponsor. Don't use. Get a sponsor, not your home girl, not your buddy, not the neighbor's dog's friend's owner. Get a sponsor, somebody you can trust. Look with your heart, because it's about you right now. Get a sponsor, get a home group. I know everything on Zoom, but you can still get a home group. Because I was thinking, how am I going to get this to me on the phone? Zoom? What? But it works. And then guess what? I was in a few other states in my living room. How about that? I'd have been in Connecticut. My living room. I'm telling you, this technology, man, listen, it's good when you use it the right way. Come on from Facebook sometimes. Right? I ain't knocking Facebook, but there's some good stuff in it. Use it in content. Don't use, get a sponsor, get a home group, attend meetings. Attend, even if they tell you 3, do more. They ain't gonna hurt. Take notes. Take your notebook with you. Read the literature. Because you can pull that up on your phone too. And practice 3 spiritual principles they tell you. Be honest. Tell on yourself. Them secrets, what we used to call them, the stinking thinking, and them secrets keep you sick. They do for real. Because that stuff you don't tell, it's waiting for you to walk out that door calling yourself being complete with this program. It's going to jump all over you. Read your literature. Be honest. Open your mind. Even if you ain't convinced, just say just maybe. Walk through on a just maybe. Listen to what's going on in here. And be willing to do something different. Willing. Look at where you've been in your driver's seat. Look at the path you've chosen. Your babies. Everything we do affects everybody. And it took me a long time to get that. I'm still healing from some stuff. I'm paying for some stuff that I've done years ago, because you do reap what you sow. It's going to come back. But today, the power of choice has been restored. Today, I choose not to live like that. Today, I'm responsible. I'm employed today. On purpose. Sometimes I don't like situations, but now I've been given some tools as to how to deal with it. I ain't got to get high because my boss snapped at me and she keep trying to throw me under the bus. I've been taught how to cope without using anything. Today I have the power of prayer, because see, today I have a higher power, and I choose to call him my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I met him in this process, because see, if you think about the steps, just think about steps, because it's all about the step work. You go to meetings all day long, but if you ain't changing nothing, guess what? You're going to be miserable and end up using maybe. The power of step work. Steps, think about a set of steps. They either lead you to something or away from something. I need you guys to really get that. Because I told my sponsor, I ain't doing no steps. What? What? And I kept getting high. Because the sponsor I had in AA, I meant to tell you about this. When I got clean, got serious, I reached back out to the sponsor I had in AA, good sponsor. But when I relapsed, when she found out I was smoking and wasn't drinking, she said, I don't know, you got to get your coins back. I got to give you what? Because see, now when you stay clean, when you stay sober, you get coins. I had to give them back to her. I was mad. Why I got to give them back? She said, you used. I went back to her this last bit, and she said she was no longer there, and she introduced me to the fellowship I belong to now. And I'm telling you, when I walked through them doors, I felt just like I did when I walked through these. I felt like I had slid in a home base, and I was safe. People love each other, for real. People share. And I'm sitting up there hearing people talk about stuff. I said, oh, wait a minute, you did that too? See, that's what they call identifying instead of comparing. Don't look at what you did not do. Listen for what you did do and run with that. Because you can compare yourself right out the doors. This addiction has only 3 promises. 3. That's limited. Jails, institutions, death. Can't come back from death. So if you've been rolling the dice, you might want to look at that. Because I had to. I ain't want to die. I'd have been to jail. What's left for me? I ain't trying to go there. But today, I have a decent life. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm getting there. But I'm not where I used to be. Because I'm telling you, last night, 20 years ago, this is what took place, and it hit me like a ton of bricks when I got up to go to work yesterday. I remember just using everything, and I got my crack pipe, and I rolled up in some newspaper. I was determined. I had told my husband at the time, here, go get rid of this. It's like, no, I need to say goodbye. I took that crack pipe, I took a hammer to it, and while I was beating it, I was praying, asking God, please do not let me pick another one of these things up again. Don't let me do it. Because see, my kids ain't even went in my house now. County got it. And I had to make a decision that I did not know would change my forever life. The sincerity. The God I now serve opened so many doors for me. And they all started right here. I wasn't sure where I was going to end up. I couldn't even see or even fathom living life without getting high on something. Because see, in the beginning, I said, well, crack was the problem. I just won't do none of that. I just drink. That don't work either. So, if you're new here, please stay. Please stay. You are, and I need to also thank my current pastors, Pastor Sean and Stacy Braxton, because they've said some things and they're carrying me. Now, since my other pastors are no longer here, they're carrying me. They're praying for me. They've said some messages. I've attended some programs through them that poured in and still are working in me today. As he says, you are somebody's connecting flight. Somebody is waiting on you. Because there's some social workers in here. We need some. It ain't too late. I'm 56 years old. Do you know I ended up going back to school? I didn't plan on going back to school. What? I was content just working. I'm getting a steady paycheck as man. I had the benefits. I was getting paid weekly. I had bought a vehicle. Something I never thought I'd do. And I was looking at all these things, and it's not about the material stuff. It's what was in here. It was a freedom. I was taking out this box. I serve a limitless God. He ain't in no box. And with that being said, the job I had today, I went back to school, got a degree. Cleveland State, I ran into Pam, and see, I always question when I'm doing stuff. It's like, am I really supposed to be doing this? And I get confirmation. I'm going to the library in Cleveland State to do this paper I didn't want to do for this English teacher I thought was riding me a little too tough. Who I see sitting out, and she just made me forget about everything. I said, Pam! And that was God's way of saying, you're right where you're supposed to be. Don't beat yourself up because you may be a little older or whatever the case may be, because it's not too late till you dead and gone, and you can't do nothing about nothing. Cleveland State and I graduate. Well, I was supposed to went back to school in 2000, but me and God had this fight. Well, I was fighting against God anyway. So I ended up going this in 2008. And out of my disobedience for him telling me and trying to take me on this journey, I ended up going a little bit longer, and I had some issues. But with that, I graduated still. It's at 4 years, it took 6, so I got consequences for being out of order, and that does happen. I graduated in 2014. Cleveland State and I turned 50 years old together. 50 years old, and I'm getting a degree? What? Me? The dope fiend? Me? Yes. Then I got hired before I got out of school. I had a job lined up for me. So those were things that were saying, okay, where you supposed to be? But along the way, there was this piece that keeps following me. And then there's this unctions that tell me, okay, no, you know you ain't supposed to be doing that. And then when I got hired, I had that job maybe a couple of weeks. I got a phone call from the very people that took my kids. And I swore I ain't working for them people. I ain't taking nobody's kids. That was God had a sense of humor. I promise you, and I kid you not, I never filled in an application to work for Children and Family Services. But I got a phone call. I'd like to speak to Cheryl Smith. See, I wasn't married yet. I was in the process. I'm like, who? Because I saw the number. I'm like, oh, who done called on me now? And I'm clean. I'm like, who done called on me now? So I said, you sure you're not the right person? And I couldn't hear nothing this man said. All I heard was he was from Human Resource. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Human Resource, they're people that hire folks. You got a job for who? And I'm asking him, how did you get my number? Because I did not apply to work there. But God. See, everything that I had went through, I had kept saying, why me? Why me? Why you letting this happen to me? Because at some point, when I heard he had all power, I was like, no, he don't. Because if he did, why he let this happen to me? But he was showing me, I let all this stuff happen to you for such a time as this. Because I went to jail, I don't have a record. I went twice. All these experiences that I had that were in the negative, he turned them around and allowed me to reach back speak, to walk these women through these other things. So I'm thinking, oh, and I just need you guys to know, it does not matter what stage you are in your life, what age you are. The decision, only you right now know if you really want to try. Because somebody may be sitting here like, you know what, please shut up. So this will be over and I can get on and do what I got to do. That may be the case, I don't know. But please, don't count yourself out. Because at the end of your life, there's this thing called accountability. You're going to be held accountable before you get there too. But there's this thing called accountability, where you can no longer blame your PO, your social worker, your counselor, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad. This door is opening right now to address that stuff and move past it, because there is a greater waiting for each and every one of you. And still me. Even with 20 years clean today, I still get tripped up with stuff. But I'm in a better place because I got some tools today. I got a sponsor. I can call, hey, listen, I don't know how to get to this. And even on my job, there's some people, I have some beautiful co-workers that I've been blessed to be able to share this part of me with. Because this ain't for everybody. Everybody don't need to know I'm in recovery. But I'm telling you, today I choose to live and no longer exist. Because that's what I was doing. Going through life without a plan, whatever happens today, I'll flow with it. Oh, what was me? I choose not to do that today. My oldest, I shared with you guys, I'm a mother of 8. My oldest just turned 40 years old. I have a 40-year-old son. And see, when the disease of addiction told me it was too late for me to be their mom, that's the biggest lie too. Because I have 8 children, 7 are adults. Now, more than ever, I had a daughter that came back home a couple of times. I was able to be there for her. So it does matter. I couldn't imagine the things. I have a degree. I got some licenses by the state of Ohio. Can you imagine that? I'm still tripping. Because let me tell you, my brain is now 56 years old. And I think about all the stuff that I put in my system. And the fact that I can even sit still and hold any information still blows my mind. Because September, I graduated from a nail school. I always did nails, but I know now you got to have a license for all this stuff. So I went back to school. And January last year, I graduated in September of last year. December 4 for 2020, I ended up going to the state board and passed my licensure exam. And then I got another license. A month later, I'm now an independent contractor. Come on, really? And I was the one that was willing to die with a crack pipe and some dope. Come on now. God has another plan for you guys. You may not know one right now. We don't know where we're going. I didn't know, still don't know. I'm just glad that I could wake up in the morning and know where I was yesterday. I'm just glad that the dope man didn't get in my cars no more. I'm just glad that on Christmases and the holidays, I can take my own money to do for my kids and not have to worry over them. I ain't not because the dope man, he got his shoes, his kids got Jordans, my kids wearing Pookies. What? And I laugh in this process a lot. I love, for real, on purpose, in this process. And that came from here. It started here. The 12 steps, a sponsor, a home group, and just allowing. I asked a lot of questions and it rubbed some people the wrong way, but okay, I was told, online, get an understanding. So if you're talking up here and I'm down here, I'm gonna say, could you break that down in layman's terms? I've had some medical stuff going on. Doctors don't like that either. They're telling me, well, tests have shown, studies. I said, well, who was studying? I wasn't in that study, so you just can't give me anything. So this medicine is to do what? And I'm supposed to take it when? Is there an alternative? See, today I have a voice, and it's all part of this process. I want to thank you, ladies, for allowing me to come back and share with you, because it was only fitting for me. 20 years. And I got some children that pour into me. And I just look at this stuff, and it's like, wow, I never thought I would be here to see this stuff. I expected to die some years ago, overdose. My God, I got some people that pray for me. And today I care. I'm up against something on my job right now. And I need you guys to pray for me. I do. Because I do know at the end of it, I'm still going to be standing. And it's a process. And I hated that word when I first came in here. Because that meant I had to wait. But I do know that's one of the most important key factors in my life today. I must wait. Learn when. Listen to that still quiet voice that tells me just be still and know that I'm God. Listen to that still voice that tells me, you know it, you out of order. Because see, I tell on me today too. I want to thank you all. And I hope you ladies are encouraged, empowered, and strengthened. Because you are gems. You are. And you're very, very, very important. And if nobody told you today that they love you, I love you. I love you. And I mean that. With that, I pass.
Well, that was so wonderful. Thank you. I'm gonna say goodbye to these guys and then we'll kind of get to our reception. Everyone, thank you so much for turning in for this wonderful event, Inspiration to Change, celebrating Cheryl's 20th year of sobriety today. We are so proud to have her as a part of our history. If you missed part of this message, it'll be available via Facebook. So our Women's Recovery Center Facebook page. Thank you so much. Take care.